Ladies and gentlemen, hello, and welcome back to the life and suffering of Sir Brant. Take dos. As always, I'm your homie Davvon. I have not touched this game in a few days. I am going through withdrawals. So without any further delay, let's play. Peacetime, 22 years of age. Brothers in misery. Your home has been much more peaceful for the last year. The fights between Stefan and Gloria are not as fierce now, but how long will it last? Your job takes up all your time. You see your parents and siblings less and less often. Sometimes you don't even know what they're doing while you deal with the constant stream of duties. This morning you head out on urgent business. You take one step out of the gate and run into a uniformed guard. Captain Lynad. Davvon Jr. Brant, your presence is requested at the prefecture dungeon. Taken aback, you ask what this is about. Captain Lynad. We have your brothers Stefan and Nathan Brant in a cell. They were arrested last night at the Steiner's Inn. They asked us to stand in for you. The cells in the prefecture dungeon are cold and damp. The guards lead you to the bars, and behind them you see Nathan huddled in the corner. Your younger brother is unshaven, more disheveled than usual, and reeking of wine and filth. Near the cell you see Stefan grimly sitting in a chair. You guessed that the guards thought it best not to put him in the same cell as his low-born brother. Upon seeing you, Nathan lets out a whimper, and Stefan cracks a bitter smile. The sheath on your brother's belt is empty. Stefan Brant. There you are at last, Davvon Jr. Have a look at our younger brother. Yesterday he got drunk in the company of some dubious fellows. They are commoners, yet they dared to surrender to pleasure. They started a brawl, wrecked the inn, and harassed the waitresses. As soon as I heard, I rushed to save this drunkard from shame. Nathan cowers in the corner, horror-struck. Stefan Brant. I walked in and demanded that Nathan come with me, but his cronies wouldn't let him go. Nathan Brant. That's not true. You just grabbed me by the collar and dragged me after you. You nearly suffocated me. Stefan Brant. Shut your mouth, cur. So, brother, they seem to have some sort of sect. Y'all shouted defamations against the twin gods, and one of them grabbed me by my arm. I was forced to skewer this heretic with my sword. I hope a lesser death will teach him never to lay his filthy paws on a nobleman. Nathan Brant. He was just trying to talk to you, Stefan. Stefan Brant. Silence. Then the guards barged in, and here we are. I have been accused of an unlawful murder. Apparently, the new laws allow killing a commoner only if he attacks fists or wields a weapon. They say that in the event of an insult, I'm supposed to file a complaint with the prefecture. So now they're going to seize my sword for a whole year. What a shame. And it's all your fault, Nathan. Stefan gives the bars a furious kick. Nathan covers his face with his hands in despair. Stefan Brant. Davvon Jr., brother, you are our only hope. Give me my sword back and get us out of here, and fast. We have to bury this sordid affair as deep as we can before anyone finds out. Save our family from shame. Well, apparently I don't have enough career, enough Inquisition power, or spy network. Guess we will ask Father for help because as far as I know, our reputation is in the toilet. So we need to actually bring that up out of the toilet. And, yeah, not be in the toilet. You tell Stefan that the only way to get them out of this mess is with Father's help. Stefan Brant. No, Davvon Jr. Father must not know about this. If he gets involved, we won't be able to avoid dishonoring the family. You coldly reply that after this incident, disgrace is inevitable. All that remains is to try and minimize the damage. Leaving your brothers, you go upstairs to your father's office. Robert Brant. What happened, Davvon Jr.? You give Father an account of the incident. He becomes more and more grim with every word that you utter. Robert Brant. This why I earned the judge's mantle? To get my own sons out of prison? I would have expected something like this from the drunkard Nathan, but Stefan, I will not demean myself so they can avoid their punishment. You argue that in this case, the damage to your family's reputation will be far greater. Stefan will be publicly deprived of his sword, and Nathan will be sentenced to hard labors on the streets. Robert Brant. I hate to admit it, but you're right, son. I'll have to swallow my pride and plead their case to the prefect. Stefan is his nephew, after all. Father gets an audience with his superior El Born. He returns downhearted, but holding the prefect's order. Together, you walk down to the dungeon to present the order to the guards. Stefan Brandt's sword is to be returned at once. He has not broken the law and must be freed. As for Nathan, you'll personally cover the damages the inn has sustained. This is no reason to keep a son of a noble family behind bars. Seeing the prefect's seal, the guards nod obediently and return Stefan's sword. Stefan Brandt, Father, I knew you'd come to the rescue. I haven't really done anything shameful. Robert Brandt, we will discuss this at home. Stefan sheathes his sword reverently as Nathan is led out of the cell. The elder brother takes the younger by the scruff of his neck and pulls him to the door. Nathan staggers and shuffles along limply. Drink the old hot chocolate real quick. The prefecture is highly displeased with the indiscreet nepotism your father took advantage of. Unsavory rumors about the Brandt family creep through Anazot. Back home, father lectures Stefan. Your elder brother objects and blames Nathan for everything. Stefan Brandt. From now on, there will be no more drinking bouts or the other nocturnal exploits, Nathan. Who are those rogues you've befriended anyway? Stop shaming this family. If you're so worthless, at least let others go about their business in peace. Do you understand, you blockhead? Nathan remains silent, staring despondently somewhere above him. Nathan +1. Stefan +1. Robert Brandt. Why are you mad at me? Why? I'm not the one that went and got into drunken barroom brawls with waitresses and got myself locked up into jail and had to get myself unlocked and dishonored the family. Yeah, we're disgraced. No big deal. We have +1 manipulation now, although I didn't really manipulate anybody. I manipulated my father. The case of Father Mark. Your most recent year of service at the prefecture has seen an increase in litigation on crimes against the church. More and more people are joining the ranks of the new faith in Anazot. The movement began with destitute beggars who had nothing to lose, but for years now, many well-off commoners and new nobles have been joining the fold. People say the leader of the new faith in Anazot is Father Leonard, the abbot of the temple at the Silver Tree. The city's leaders would love to expel him, but he is too highly regarded by the common folk. Complaints and cases of defiance of one's lot keep pouring in. Every day, somebody is reported by their neighbors for heresy. Many commoners, adherents of the old faith, fear that such flagrant defiance of the lots will usher in the prophesied wrath of the gods. However, you and other judges have no choice but to reject most of these cases. As a secular institution, the prefecture has no authority when it comes to crimes against the faith. Only the church and the Inquisition have any say here. In the middle of another busy day at the prefecture office, the door suddenly swings open. A tall guard wearing an officer's uniform walks in. He takes off his helmet, adjusts his short, fair hair, and bows to you hastily. Captain Leonard. Captain Leonard reporting, Your Honor. My boys finally caught Father Mark, the dreaded apostate heretic. The prefect told us to take him to you for judgment. You! Bring him in. Two guards bring in a short, stout man wearing a worn, dirty priest's cassock. Priests wear the sacred symbol of the twins, a cross within a circle, but this man does not. Forced to sit before you, this odd-looking priest is nonetheless strangely undisturbed by his arrest. His eyes, curious and glimmering with life, study you intently. Captain Leonard. This is him, Father Mark in the flesh. We caught him trying to preach the teaching of his smack in the middle of a drinking hole for the low board of the Grey District. Some guy took offense and called for the guards, and we got there right away. Father Mark. You've heard the name ever since you were a child. His cult of rejection of the twins has expanded tenfold over the past several years, with nobles, commoners, and even other priests joining his flock. The Inquisition has hunted this heretical apostate for years, but Father Mark has always eluded capture, until now. Some say he has very powerful protectors. Captain Leonard. Here are statements from people at the establishment, Your Honor. You flip through pages of handwritten statements. Father Mark isn't just preaching, he is openly defying not only the lots, but even the twins themselves. Father Mark teaches that the gods have neither design nor purpose for us, so we are under no obligation to serve them or prepare our souls for the hereafter. You put the papers away, ready to question the profane priest. What was the subject of his sermons? What was he trying to convince his listeners to do? Father Mark prefaces his answer with a dazzling smile. Father Mark: as a judge, it is your duty to enforce secular law. You know as well as I do that I have broken no such law. I am a priest, my friend, and in the Empire, priests are allowed to preach. I was preaching the proper way to live one's worldly life, for this is the only existence we have. I told my listeners not to waste their lives serving those gods. The twins surely love us, but alas, their love violates us as much as their law. This entire world is proof of that. I see my words have upset you, but I'm afraid you can't judge me guilty for that. Here's why. See, mine is the priestly lot. If the judgment to the church is to be trusted, which means that only the Inquisition tribunal might find me guilty. So you could hand me over to those black-clad thugs, but alas, you will get absolutely nothing in return. The Inquisition wants to light their pyres in every corner of Anazat, and all they need for that is me. As soon as they get me, the Inquisitors will tell the prefecture to step aside and start enforcing the law themselves. Is that what you want, my friend? So what do we need to do with me? Well, let's think about it. As a secular judge, you can't judge me guilty, but giving me to the Inquisition will weaken the prefecture. And so, my friend, everybody will be better off if you just set me free. Trust an old philosopher. It's better for you and me. Better for your prefect, better for you as well. Surprisingly, the guard captain smiles knowingly at these words. He leans over and whispers a few words into your ear. You cannot help but notice the scars all over his neck. Captain Linad: say the old heretic's right, Your Honor. If he's still got the priestly lot, he's the Inquisition's problem. It's too dangerous for the prefecture to meddle in the churchly affairs. As strictly between you and me, if the reports I've been getting are to be trusted, this here Mark's been rubbing yellows of Patriarch Cassius himself. Letting him go might get us on his good side, and Sir Patriarch's a very wealthy man. But suddenly, the captain's voice trails off as the door to your office opens without warning. There is a young woman at the door, clothed in a black cassock, bearing the telltale silver seal of the Inquisition. Da-da-da-da! Jean. I am Sister Jean, Your Honor. I serve the Order of the Inquisition. That stern face, those piercing brown eyes, they seem somehow familiar. Of course, this is the young acolyte girl from the temple at the Silver Tree. The one you saw during the school visit. She is an Inquisitor now. I keep wanting to say Inquisitor. Deanne, your men did well to track down and arrest this Father Mark. Splendid! We've been hunting this false preacher for a long time. As I'm sure you know, priests may not be judged by secular laws, Your Honor. Mark has denigrated the twins and called for the people to reject them. He has broken his sacred vows and defied his lot. He'll face the tribunal of the Inquisition for his transgressions. The man before you is a great threat to the people of Anazat, Judge Brent. His words lead people astray. His speech is doomed them to eternal suffering at the foot of the pillar. Only church knows the way to end this heresy. You will hand Father Mark over to me at once. Sister Jeanne remains in the doorway, wordlessly refusing to leave the prefecture without the captured heretic. The guards and the captain stand still, awaiting your orders. Father Mark is lounging in the chair, enjoying himself and eyeing you curiously, waiting for your decision on this contentious situation. Why can I not set him free? Okay, my scheming's not high enough. So my scheming was a lot higher last time, apparently. Which is a major kick to the balls this time around, knowing how far I've fallen. But we are going to judge him because justice is needed, and I am the judge here, damn it. You order the guards to put Father Mark in jail. The priest just shakes his head, slowly and sadly. Guard Captain smirks slyly at Sister Jeanne and tells his men to put the priest in shackles. Captain Linad: as you wish, Your Honor. The mere sight of Father Mark being taken away by the law sends Sister Jeanne into an epileptic fit of rage. Real talk, I feel like Captain Linad is my Detective Lestrange. Lestrange, to my Sherlock Holmes is all I'm going to say. Jeanne, how dare you defy the judgment of the Inquisition? You have no right to judge a priest, not even such an erring heretic as Mark. Only other priests may pronounce the judgment upon a priest. You have clearly forgotten your own lot, if you see it otherwise. Know this, Sir Brant. The Inquisition will not forget this outrage. We will do whatever it takes to get you dismissed. After Jeanne finally storms out, you head for El Bourne's office. Thanks to the firm guidance of the prefect and your verdicts as a judge, the rule of the law in this province has been on the rise. Even nobles can be seen falling in line and acknowledge the prefecture's authority. Could this be the time to take another step forward and make the priests acknowledge secular law just as they accept the divine law? Augustine L. Bourne, that was quite brazen of you, Brante, defying the Inquisition like that. It could cost you dearly. But I'm on your side in this matter. Father Mark will set an ideal precedent. Priest judged by an imperial law rather than a church tribunal. The man you caught is an apostate and a heretic, so the Inquisition will provide no legal defense. This all but ensures a guilty verdict. Permission granted, Brante. Prepare the case. To ensure that the Inquisition has no time to intervene, you schedule the trial as soon as possible. But even with these precautions, the courtroom on the day of trial is a strange sight to see. Outraged priests and odd-looking commoners fill the stalls. Now and again you hear their cries. Some demand you hand over Father Mark to the Inquisition, while others shout in support of the apostate. Mark himself is quiet and utterly calm, his arms folded across his chest. The time for the verdict has come. Instead of heresy, you accuse Father Mark of inciting a rebellion against the Emperor's rule. In his sermons, Mark told people to reject the twins, but the Tempest dynasty was chosen to rule by the twins themselves. Therefore, his call to reject the twins represents an act of rebellion against the Tempest dynasty and the Empire as a whole. You thus conclude that Father Mark is an insurgent and a traitor, a crime that falls within the authority of the prefecture. Your speech has the Board of Justice backed against the wall. Despite their better judgment, they are now obligated to side with you instead of the Inquisition. Through clenched teeth, they accept your arguments for persecuting Father Mark in a secular trial. The verdict has been rendered. Father Mark. Well then, your honors, I hope your ambition has been duly satisfied and your authority duly enforced. But alas, every single one of you is still a puppet of the alien will of the gods. It's time to hand me over to the Inquisition. After all, only the church knows the proper punishment for me. The guards unceremoniously stuff a gag in Father Mark's mouth to protect society from his heretical notions. Sister Jeanne is waiting right outside the courtroom, an inscrutable expression on her face. Takes custody of Father Mark, now a convict, and leads him to the dungeons of the Inquisition for his long overdue punishment. Shortly after, you learn that your father was one of the judges on the Board of Justice, Robert Brant. That was some trial, and it was led by my own son of all people, a priest convicted by the prefecture. Our province has never seen anything like this before. Many judges are bound to hold a grudge against you for making a clash with the Inquisition. As for me, I'm proud you saw the case through to the very end. We will succeed no matter what fate has in store for us. Career minus... Would you stop taking away my career? Hey, our diplomacy's a 10. We needed those points a lot earlier in the playthrough, though. That's for damn sure. You buckle in the shop. This event is a consequence of your previous actions. Justice greater than 8. Buckle in the shop. Your tenure as a judge has yielded considerable results. More and more often, common people come to the prefecture to assert their rights and succeed in doing so. Some local villagers have even started coming to seek the court's protection. All over the province, there is talk that a new era has come, and the law is in fact the same for all. This morning on your way to the prefecture, you anticipate a peaceful day, full of paperwork. But as soon as you enter your office, L. Bourne rushes in after you. Augustine L. Bourne. Don't sit down, Brent. You've been assigned an urgent investigation. This morning, a tradeswoman, old Mrs. Steiner, came to the prefecture with her 2 grandchildren. She demands that we punish Sir Elveger for setting fire to her shop and trying to rob her. Well, the Steiners had just finished writing up the complaints when Elveger himself came bursting in. He immediately sued the Steiner for his own murder. I've come to warn you, Brante. Even though the Steiners were acting in self-defense, you still have to find in favor of Elverger. You're surprised to hear this from Elborn. Seeing your perplexed look, the prefect frowns. Augustine Elborn. I'll explain. Before, Lobon shopkeepers like the Steiners wouldn't have dreamed of suing a nobleman. Everything was always decided in favor of the nobility, as you may recall. But now the law has more power. Our efforts have not been in vain. However, now we're talking about the murder of a nobleman by commoners. I'm afraid these changes have been too drastic. The governing elite of the province are watching our every step. Justifying the murder of a nobleman would be going too far. The overseer and the magistrate may well decide that it's time to take back the common people's rights. We can't let that happen, Davvon Jr. Court is in session. You're presiding over the Board of Justice. One bench is occupied by the somber Maximilian Elverger. His papers state that he is a nobleman of the sword living off his estate. He strokes the pommel of the sword nervously and breathes heavily, ready to explode in a fit of rage. On the other bench, you see the Steiners, the low-born owners of a well-known jewelry store. Anne Steiner, a short, wizened woman wrapped in several layers of dark silk, looks defiantly at Elverger. Her two grandchildren stand silently behind her, their faces impassive. Captain Linad. My squad noticed a fire at the Steiner shop. We stormed in and saw those viners standing over the dead body of Sir Elverger and watching it crumble to dust. The old woman shouted that she had to go to the prefecture, so he brought her and her grandchildren there. And Sir Elverger suffered a lesser death before our very eyes. Gustav Elverger. Miscreants! Those low-born scum killed me! You sternly call the nobleman to order. The commoners will speak first. And sterner. Sir Elverger showed up at our shop at dawn and started banging on the door. We opened, despite him being completely drunk, scarcely able to stand on his feet. He demanded to see our pearls. What could I do? I showed them to him. And then he started sweeping our pearls right into his own pockets. I tell him, those pearls are not free, sir. But he draws his sword. I'm a nobleman, he says. Everything should be free for me, he says. Such is our law, he yells. Your law is to work for me, he yells. Well, I explained that the pearls cost 20 coins, so he takes a lit lamp and smashes it on the floor. And then he charges at me with his sword. My grandchildren came to my rescue. They went and pushed him. They used no weapon, naturally. Sir Elverger hit his temple against the showcase and fell. We came to see how he was, but he was already dying. We didn't kill him, his own anger did. So I didn't come here to confess the murder, but to ask your honor, to protect our family against this bloodsucker. We had a hard time putting the fire out of the shop after what the rascal did. Gustav Elverger. You ungrateful old hag. You should have been delighted that I was taking your pearls. Pearls? Pearls. All of high society would have seen them. You're a blasphemer too, not knowing your lot. The nobleborn must not contradict us nobles. It's forbidden. I know my lot. I'm supposed to command. So I'm in my right when I take what I want from the rabble, and in his honor, the judge will agree with me. Your honor, I appeal to you, one nobleman to another. It's simply an outrage for the rabble to behave like this. Those little shopkeepers took my first life from me. Me, the heir to the Elverger legacy. I demand that these Steiners be hanged at once, or burned at the stake. Once they follow the heresy of Fotis, only the heretics deny their lot. There is commotion in the courtroom. Those who came to support the Steiners are infuriated by the nobleman's words. Elverger's noble friends frantically demand that the lowborn be silenced. You call the court to order, but to no avail. The room will not calm down until you deliver your verdict. You rub your temple. If you manage to acquit the old lady, it will set a precedent for the entire empire. The lowborn have never had the right to defend themselves with force against one another, let alone the nobles. You have the increased influence of the prefecture on your side. You could even try to legalize the right of the common people of Maghrad to defend their lives. But such a daring move will not succeed without the support of powerful people. You remember Elborn's warning. What would the consequences of your decision be for the common folk of Anazat? Should you acquit the Steiners? Can you? Like, what? I need to take a deep breath and drink some of the Yule hot cocoa here. I want it to be known that I do not feel that it is fair that I cannot take a hit for not punishing the Steiners here. I guess I'm punishing the Steiners. Curtly and unemotionally, you deliver your verdict. The very same verdict the majority of the people in the courtroom were expecting. Alverger's demands will be satisfied. The Steiners committed the murder of a nobleman. Their guilt is undeniable. Whether Alverger attacked them or not is of no consequence. A commoner may not raise his hand against a nobleman. The three of them will be hanged this very day. I don't want this! I do not want this outcome! This is not what I want! This is not what I would do! This is very, very bad! I don't want this! I'm sorry, Ann Steiner. This is not what I would do if I was in the actual position, but this book has decided that because I'm too fucking dumb to be diplomatic and eloquent, or because I'm too stupid at this game, actually, I have to hang you now. I'm sorry! Ann Steiner. We've never expected anything good from the upper class before, so why start now? I've heard plenty of talk about your justice, but nothing's really changed. Shame on you, Judge. I'm so angry right now that I didn't even do her voice. The trial is over. The old woman and her grandchildren are taken away to be prepared for the execution. Alverger lifts his hat politely and leaves. On your way out, you meet Elborn. The prefect follows you with a look of understanding. I didn't want this! You spend the rest of the day pacing your office mindlessly. This trying day is finally at an end. Justice-minded Stook. This game can honestly go... figure out a smarter person to play it because all this is my fault and I should quit bitching. My diplomacy is +1, my willpower is +5, but this, I don't like the outcome of this game. No matter what happens at the end of this game, I am not satisfied with this playthrough. 1,141 peacetime, 23 years of age. What are you smiling at over there? Huh? Huh? My wife is over there with a smile on her face and me raging at this game right now. She's over here understanding and finding it hilarious that I can't make the decisions that I want. Friend of the people, this event is a consequence of your previous actions. Justice greater than 5. Remy Elverman made a deal not included. Maybe I can get my justice back on this. Friend of the people. Another day of work, the prefecture is winding down. After hours of paperwork, your fingers are cramped, your vision blurred. Today, you must finish incorporating the new decrees of the Great Imperial Council into the Magran Code of Law. The document will then be sent to the overseer. I'm so heated, I'm speaking a million miles an hour right now. It's all your fault. A knock at the door distracts you. Your visitor is someone you were not expecting to see. Mayor Egmont enters your office. He is the wealthiest man in Magra, the owner of the silver mines and the leader of the wealthy commoners party in the Lesser Quorum. He wears a high-priced frock coat made of the light gray fabric. He wears no jewelry, but his coat is richly embroidered and the most luxury a commoner can ever afford. Egmont offers you a broad, suntanned hand. It is hard, work-weary, and eternally calloused. This is a man who has earned his fortune with the sweat of his brow. Mayor Egmont. Good afternoon, Judge Brante. We met recently about the newspaper business, but today I need to discuss a different matter with you. I came to talk to you on behalf of the manufacturers of Magra. As you know, the principal source of income in the province is the silver mines. Our mines provide silver for the sacramental rites conducted in temples all over the empire. But the upper vein of ore is nearly exhausted. We need to process new deposits that are lower down. That's where our trouble with the law comes into play. In order to go to the deeper layers of ore, we need gunpowder. But a decree from the Great Imperial Council has forbidden common people from using it. Back in the capital, they're afraid we'll turn that gunpowder into a weapon. But this restriction will not harm only the manufacturing of the miners, but the province as a whole. The silver trade will decline. You won't have enough money to buy grain, and soon even the nobility will be impoverished. I know that you, the judges of the prefecture, are the ones who interpret the decrees from the capital, so I implore you, Sir Brante, to come to the aid of the honest tradesmen of Magra. Pass an amendment allowing the use of gunpowder in the silver mines. You give Egmont a speculative glance and ask him why he has asked you specifically for help. Mayor Egmont. I've been following your decisions for quite some time, Your Honor. They give me hope. I don't agree with you on everything, but we seem to see eye to eye on the essentials. Except for the part where you hung Ann Steiner and her grandchildren. The common estate needs to get real rights. It's the only way for our province and for the empire as a whole. Sure, Prefect Elborn has proclaimed as much himself, but unfortunately, he is a nobleman of the sword first and foremost. He's bound by the blood tide, by the power of the Overseer and the Archeans, Sala's undertakings are doomed to failure. If you, Sir Brant, truly care for the people, you need some powerful allies among the lowborn. Allies like me. Do this for me, and together we'll change the fate of Magra. Egmont extends his hand, hope in his eyes. You take your time before answering, weighing his words carefully. Do we agree or disagree? I'm going to ask the wife for this one. Do we agree or disagree? Refuse or agree? You decide. Answer quick. Answer quick. Agree or refuse? Doot doot. Doot doot doot. Doot 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 doot. Answer. Disagree? I'm agreeing anyway. We need our justice points, okay? You take his hand. Egmont gives you a strong handshake. You tell him that you share his apprehension and understand that silver is crucial to the province. You promise to amend the law so that the restrictions do not apply to the silver mines. Mayor Egmont, thank you, Davvon Jr. Brunt. Nobles who care about the needs of the common folk are few and far between. This is what nobility really means. I share your belief that only a union of the estates will lead the empire to order and prosperity. You can count on my support. Silver is the lifeblood of Magra. Today, you're not only saving us all from ruin, you've also made every Magran a little richer, yourself included. I'll make sure the Brants get a share of the profits. I want my family name to go up, and I want my reputation to go. And I promise you, Brants, this gunpowder will shatter those ancient rock formations and reveal their hidden treasure to us all. Wealth of Magra +2, yay! Justice +2, yay! Wealth +1, yes! Reputation, a deal with Egmont. Egmont made a deal with you. You're helping him to legitimize the use of gunpowder in the mines. The hot cocoa is gone. Year 1141, the guns of Illyria. Magran has received alarming news from the neighboring province of Illyria. The lowborn convicts toiling in the Illyrian mines have revolted against their noble masters. For the first time in many long, peaceful years, commoners have taken up arms. Worse yet, the insurgents had guns and gunpowder, and no one knows how they got them. Gunpowder weapons were banned throughout the empire as soon as they were invented. The Lord deems firearms dishonorable and unfit for the nobles. Even Legion soldiers are forbidden from using them. But now gunshots were echoing through the mutinous Illyrian mines. I almost said munitions, Illyrian. The Imperial Legion was deployed to quell the riot. The Legionnaires slaughtered the rebels without mercy, and the uprising choked to death on its own blood before it had even begun. The south of Illyria is now a forest of gallows. The convicts' corpses were left swaying in the wind as a warning to any commoner who might dare to take up arms. Although the rebellion quickly succumbed to the Imperial military's onslaught, many Legion soldiers and officers were slain by the insurgents' firearms. Their steel armor was no match for bullets. The rioters' weapons were destroyed in a public ceremony, but no one knows who built or smuggled them into the mines. All Imperial overseers soon issued public reminders in their provinces. The punishment for owning a gunpowder weapon is true death by execution. But the Empire is still restless, still anxious, and somehow guns found their way into commoners' hands, if only for a short time. Could gunpowder and lead one day endanger the old ways of the Empire? Authorities of Magra fear that unrest may soon spill over here. Due to the double tax, peasant farms and industrial manufactories are facing harsh times. The province's wealth is steadily declining, but the discontent of the commoners is still held back by the eternal lot that demands they accept their suffering. A friend in need. You arrive at the office one fine morning and find a visitor already sitting there. The visitor is none other than TOMMAS Guerrero. His heavy uniform already bears the captain's chevrons. TOMMAS looks nervous, his fingers drumming a foreboding staccato on the desk. Why has your old friend decided to pay you a visit? You pat your friend on the shoulder and congratulate him on his promotion. TOMMAS shrugs, quietly brimming with pride. I got bumped up a few months ago, TOMMAS says. Apparently the Legion is running short on decent officers, and then I realized why there are so few of them. Wish I knew my direct superior was going to be our very own Commander Otton. TOMMAS grows grim at the mention of Otton. TOMMAS Guerrero. Listen, buddy, you and me, we always help each other out, right? That Arcadian bastard, well, he challenged me to a duel. For the second time. He cut me down a month ago. That was my second lesser death. I know, I never told you, but it was tough. The gods, they spoke to me there in the hereafter. But right now, I got something worse to worry about than matters of the soul. See, Otton, he remembers me from the time of the academy when I stood up to him at the party. Now he's gonna kill me again and again until my true death comes. So it's a duel. That's Otton's way of having fun with his subordinates. Davvon Jr., I'm asking you as a friend, will you be my second at the duel? I know Prefect Elborn doesn't like any kind of sword fighting. It's one of the old traditions he wants to put a stop to. But if I show up without a second, he won't just kill me for a third time, he'll dishonor me too. You knit your brow in thought. The Prefect's opinion, dueling is a lawless tool of noble tyranny. Elborn sees duel as an outmoded way of circumventing the legal system. He would be crushed to learn that one of his judges had been involved in a duel. TOMMAS sighs heavily. TOMMAS Guerrero. I know this is hard, pal. I ain't your buddy, pal. But I've got no one else to turn to. All the boys in the Legion fear Otton like the plague. You're the only noble who can support me in this. But I know this duel won't be the end. Our great Sir Otton will find an excuse for a third duel before you know it. That'll be my last one for sure. TOMMAS rolls up the sleeves of his uniform. 2 pitch black lines encircle his forearm. He is desperate, and it is easy to see why. One-on-one against an Arcadian swordsman, he is doomed. The law forbids dueling. But if you refuse to show TOMMAS your support through your presence, your friend's spirit will be broken before his body can even be killed. You recall all the previous encounters with Otton in your youth. Is there a chance the distinguished Arcadian still remembers you? If you go to him and speak in TOMMAS' defense, will he even bother to listen? Stop the duel, which is not possible. Decline TOMMAS' request is not possible, so we're going to agree, and we would have agreed anyway, to be honest with you. We would have agreed anyway. You've been best friends with TOMMAS ever since you were little boys. Does he really think you would abandon him to such a cruel fate? Of course you will be his second at the duel, no matter what. Your friendship will not be broken, not even if you risk Prefect Elborn's displeasure. As the two of you walk to the palace ruins, you finally have time to ask TOMMAS for more information. What was Otton's excuse for challenging him to a duel this time? TOMMAS Guerrero. Here's what happened. Otton told me to head to a nearby village with a squad of Legion soldiers. Stolmina, it's called. The villagers refused to pay the Archduke's tax, said they already paid the tax to Gaius Tempest's men. He's the overseer, so the law says the tax is his. So Otton told me and the lads to string up a couple of the rowdiest peasants and put their houses to the torch to teach the rest of them a lesson. We went there, and let me tell you, buddy, I didn't join the Legion to start hanging people and burning villages, so we decided to have a word with the village elder first. The locals soon realized what was going on. Losing money is one thing, but losing a spare life, now that's worse. They hemmed and hawed and finally found enough cash to pay Archduke Orlandidis. Which means we came back to Anazar with nobody dead and all the money for the treasury. But then the commander summons me and claims I didn't follow his order, which means I also slighted the honor of the noble Arcadian who's my commander. So he challenges me to a duel! And you know what? I'm not the first, Davvon Jr., and I'm not the last. Any officer in the Legion could end up like me. Otton does as he sees fit, with no plans to stop. He's a commander, he's a noble of the sword, he's an Arcadian. We're just dirt under his boot. Who's gonna rein him in? You reach the site of the duel just before dawn. By a half-crumbled wall, you see a tall figure clad in a thick cloak. Dorius Otton, High Commander of Mag, are already expecting you. His azure figures drum impatiently on the pommel of his sword. TOMMAS dutifully bows to his commander. Otton grimaces at him. Dorius Otton. You're late, Captain Guerrero. Why should I have to wait for you? You've insulted me again already. And who is this? I've seen your face before. Anyway, I don't have time for this. Make haste, I have other duels today. The commander's second appears from the shadow, a young nobleman quiet and eager to oblige his betters. As seconds, you ask the duelists if they are ready. Without a word, Otton draws his sword. TOMMAS nods anxiously, clearly ready to face another death. The two bow ceremoniously and adopt a dueling stance. The difference between them is apparent as soon as they begin. Otton's sword seems like an extension of his arm. TOMMAS pales before him. like a clumsy child who has grabbed his father's sword for the first time. Everything about this battle shows that Otton treats his duels as no more than entertainment. The Arachnian moves around so rapidly and gracefully, your friend can barely defend himself against a flurry of strikes. Then, for the smallest moment, Otton tones down his assault, and for the first time during the duel, TOMMAS makes a riposte. Easily, effortlessly, Otton deflects Thomas's blow and then retaliates. His sword sticks through your friend's shoulder. As soon as you see blade drew blood, you shout for the duel to end. The debt for the insult has been paid in blood. If the loser of the duel is ready to offer his apology, the first must stop. Furious Otton. What? Is some human trying to teach me the laws of the duel? I am an Arachnian of the Otton dynasty, and there is no one here who could teach me the ways of honor. His sword flashes and stabs your friend straight through the heart. A wet, red spot begins to spread across Tommas's shirt. Your friend stumbles backwards. He drops his sword, his knees buckle, a wheeze, another, then a cough full of blood, and his bright eyes grow dim and dull. Slowly, Tommas's body disappears. His blood-stained clothes, his sword, and his footsteps in the dust are all that remains. Otton hands his sword to his second, who is ready to wipe it down. Furious Otton. Well then, that pitiful human will face another duel very soon. Let's hope he fights better during his last life. When your friend is reborn, tell him my exact words. The Arachnian walks away, calm and composed, his second in tow. Dazed and numb, all you can do now is gather your friend's belongings and bring them to his house. Unless you intervene, TOMMAS is doomed to meet his true death soon. You are a judge, but to an Arachnian of such rank and birth, your authority means nothing. Is there any way you can help your friend? Status? In danger. Augustine Alborn? Wait. Oh, that's the prefect. Okay. I was like confused. I had him confused for Otton for a second. They're like, why does Otton like me? The case against Otton. The day after your meeting with TOMMAS, time slows to a crawl. As you examine one case after another, you cannot help but think back to your friend and his fate again and again. There is a knock at the door. Baron Elborn, the prefect, has decided to pay you a visit. Augustine Elborn. I have a matter to discuss with you, Brante. Would you mind if we were to take a walk? It's getting a bit stuffy in here. The prefect clearly wants to discuss something in private. You walk down the stairs together and leave the prefecture. Soon the two of you are walking down the noisy streets of the Brass District. The wind is strong today, the gray sky mercifully overcast. The people around you are bartering, buying, and selling eagerly. The streets are full of craftsmen and factory workers. Merchant carts squeak as they roll down the streets. The head of the prefecture looks more worried than usual, lost in thought as he observes the bustling street life around him. Augustine Elborn. Brante, do you recall how we talked about the tyranny of the nobility in the province? Dorius Otton, the High Commander of Magra, is on a murderous spree. He challenges his subordinates to a duel for the slightest infraction and slaughters them with impunity. If our law is unable to protect anyone from the violent tyranny of the Arachnians, who will ever respect the law? It's time we put an end to this. As long as I'm in charge of the prefecture, establishing the rule of law over people of all estates and titles is our most important task. But people like Otton stand in our way, people who think themselves above the law. We need to prove them wrong. I have been informed that Otton has pressured your childhood friend, Captain TOMMAS Guerrero, into a duel, and I believe Sir Guerrero has sought your assistance in private. Am I right? You admit that it is so. Indeed, as an old friend, TOMMAS is counting on you to defend him. Augustine Elborn. And so, young Brante, I believe that to be reason enough to entrust this case to you officially. If you find yourself doubting your abilities, know that you are my best candidate. No other judge would have the courage to prosecute an Arachnian. That, and I trust you more than any ordinary judge. I spoke to your father, but even he would not accept this undertaking. He says your family worked too hard to be noble by the sword to risk it all now. But you know bear no such burden, do you? As it stands right now, sentencing an Arachnian to even the smallest punishment is unthinkable. But drop by drop, water can wear down any stone. We'll make our way to Otton, but we must do it slowly and carefully. What we need is a perfectly prepared case. We need you to find enough incontrovertible evidence and enough witnesses who are willing to testify in court. But I'm sure you realize that even this won't be enough to force an Arachnian to go to trial, don't you, Davvon Jr.? We have to change the unspoken rules in our city and province. We'll start with lower ranking people, lower ranking cases, and little by little, we'll establish rules that even highborn nobles will have to obey. All of a sudden, Elborn stops. Standing in the middle of a street, bustling with life, he points out a number of commoners hurrying about their business. Augustine Elborn. Just look. All these people need to know that there is such a thing as justice. The law must apply to all of them, no matter their lot, whether suffering, praying, or ruling. They need to know they can rely on us, judges, to enforce the law against anyone and everyone. I am counting on you in this, Sir Brant. One sec. Off. You stand motionless as Elborn studies you intently. From now on, from this moment forth, you will prosecute a case against the High Commander of Magra, a highborn Arcadian from an ancient dynasty. This is a pivotal moment in your destiny and your career. You could rise higher than ever or plunge into obscurity and ruin. You decide to talk about TOMMAS and his fate. Right now, he represents your best chance at getting Otton indicted. But there is absolutely no guarantee he will live to speak at trial. If you are to oversee this case, ensuring his safety has to be the first thing you do. Why is it spelled I-N-D-I-C-T-E-D, indicted, if it's actually pronounced indicted? I will never understand why the C is silenced in indicted. Unless I'm pronouncing the word wrong. Is it indicted or indicted? I-N-D-I-C-T-E-D. Explain to me why the C is silent. Explain this to me! Because English is weird. That is a perfect answer. Augustine Elborn. You're right, Brent. We need Tomas Guerrero to see this to the end. But remember, this is about more than just your friend and his fate. This is a matter of law and justice for the entire province. The peril to Sir Thomas's life is great indeed, but if you openly defy the High Commander right now, your standing will suffer accordingly. You can find a safe shelter for Sir Thomas away from Otton, but if Tomas remains in the city, he must be of use when you begin looking for Otton's other cities' victims. I realize you are looking for a way to rescue your friend, but right now, we must all use caution, lest our entire cause suffer. What say you, Davvon Jr.? What is your plan? We're going to have him taken into custody this time. Yeah, we're gonna frame Tomas. We are gonna frame our best friend. You inform Elborn that you have a plan to protect Tomas, but the prefect need not know the details. It will be safer for everyone this way. Augustine Elborn. That it will, Brent. You're the only one who truly knows how to help your friend. Proceed then. My only request is that you remain within the law at all times. You assure the prefect that the law will not be broken. On the contrary, it will be enforced with prejudice. Augustine Elborn. I will leave that to your conscience then. We should get back to work. Begin preparing the case at once. Back at the office, you send a note to Tomas's address. A brief request to visit you at the prefecture as soon as possible. He returns to your office that evening. You've not seen him for just one day, but he looks a decade older. It pains to see him so downcast. But you have news. Otton is well on his way toward being punished for his crimes. You are building a case against the High Commander of Magra, and Tomas absolutely has to participate in the trial as the main witness and tell the whole truth about the lawless tyranny of the haughty Arcadian. Upon hearing these words, Tomas stands tall again. You spy a wicked smirk in his eyes, a glimmer familiar from the years when you both were young. Tomas Guerrero. My oh my. The Brante boy next door wants to put an Arcadian behind bars. Count me in, buddy. I'll bear witness, all right, and I'm going to have myself a good rant about that highborn bastard. I am not going to lie. Every time I read Tomas Guerrero and he says buddy, I think of South Park. Every single time, and I pronounce it as such. You ask your friend to pace himself for now. First of all Tomas needs protection against Otton's harassment, and you have a plan for that. You will start building a case of illegal dueling, but introduce the facts in a different way. It will look like Tomas was the one who initiated the duel, and you'll personally sentence him to a term in prison and temporary revocation of the sword. This way, Otton will be unable to reach Tomas or challenge him again. Tomas Guerrero. Want to put me in jail? Isn't that too much? How is that going to affect my standing in the Legion? But my only alternative is dueling Otton again. Okay, do what you must. I'll put my trust in you, even if it means spending some time behind bars. It shouldn't be any worse than our barracks. That's settled. You write an order to imprison Captain Tomas Guerrero for inciting a duel with his superior, Sir Tomas Otton. All that is left now is to summon the guards and have them seize Tomas's sword and take him to prison. You calmly watch your friend being put in shackles. He manages a sly wink before being led out of your office. Now Captain Gero should be locked in a dark cell and kept safe and sound by the prefecture. Not even an Arcanian High Commander has the power to pull. Get him in there. It has the power pull to... Okay, let me restructure the sentence real quick. Not even an Arcanian High Commander has the power or pull to get to him in there. There we go. That is correctly worded. Hey, as much as I slip up on this, they have their own mistakes too, so nobody's perfect. But your gambit does not go unnoticed. One of the judges at the prefecture learns about your order and starts spreading rumors among the other nobles, claiming you besmirched the good name of Sir Dorius Otton. After all, you have created a written record of Otton being challenged to a duel by one of his own captains, a considerable mark of shame for an Arcanian High Commander. Uh-oh. The nobles are talking about it now. This will surely attract Otton's unwanted attention to the case, and make your work as a judge more difficult. Status in hiding. Reputation. Hey, we're disgraced! Go figure! I feel like we're just hitting like all-time lows as we progress. We managed to save 4 lives, but we managed to completely shame our family's names, destroy our job, hang a bunch of commoners, and completely make ourselves to be out to be cowards. Like, honestly, that's what it comes down to. Honestly, this is such a at this point, this is such a cluster F that it's like watching the world slowly burn in front of me. You know what I'm saying? Otton's case, year 1141. You have been entrusted with a case against the noble and influential Arcanian, the High Commander of the province. He is accused of violence against his own legionaries. Flippy page. Okay, we're not disgraced yet. Wait. Alright. Year 1141. The procession to the tree. A holy day is coming, a day when the entire empire thanks the twins for the silver tree, the sign they left behind as a reminder of the eternal presence in this world. This momentous occasion is especially important for Anazot, but the clergy cannot agree on how best to celebrate it. Father Leonard has called for all worshippers of the twins to approach the temple of the silver tree and kneel before the sacred relic. But the old clergy balks at the idea of Leonard and the new believers leading the ritual. The day has come. An immense crowd is moving in a procession toward the temple near the silver tree, where Father Leonard awaits. But an inquisitor by the name of Jeanne stands in their way. She strikes a defiant pose. Confronted by a member of the Holy Order of the Inquisition, the procession reluctantly stops. Jeanne. People, turn back. Those who attend Leonard's rite will succumb to the new faith. Those who reject the lots will defy their divine design. You're about to bring the wrath of the gods down upon us all. Upon our eyes. Go back to your homes and pray to the twins. The procession wants to move, but the people are confused, until Father Leonard himself walks out of the temple to meet Jeanne face to face. Father Leonard. People of Anazot, no one has the right to deny you the sacred ritual of worshipping at the tree. Not even the Inquisition. Is such a denial not more likely to provoke the wrath of the twins? The Inquisition must know that the new faith does not seek to challenge or defy the twins. We are merely trying to correct the mistakes of those who came before us. We do not anger the twins, we merely vex those who refuse to accept the dawn of a new age. Jeanne finds herself between a rock and a hard place. Seeing that she has no other choice, she lets the procession pass. The new faith's numbers has swelled of late, it cannot be stopped now. Why did I read the normal paragraph as if I was a character in the book? I have character voices and I have reading a voice. I just mixed those up. We'll just leave it at that. Church +1, schism. If there's one thing I can take out of this reading and this playthrough is I feel like my voice has gotten more powerful as I've read, or I've been able to project my voice a little bit better as we go, if that makes sense. The Festival of the Silver Tree. Today is an important holiday. The entire empire is celebrating the Festival of the Silver Tree, which commemorates the parting gift of the twin gods, the divine sapling they planted in our mortal world, in the middle of Anazot. The families of the city spend the day in peace and quiet, contemplating the divine roots that join together all people, their bloodlines, and the entire empire. Mother always oversees this holiday. The day before the festival, she seemed to have shaken off her usual apathy and engaged in the preparations with excitement. It was as though her illness has loosened its grip. Father gathers the entire family for the holiday meal. Father is in high spirits today, sharing jokes with you and Nathan. Stefan is trying to suppress an atypical agitation. Gloria is the last to join you at the table. She is wearing new breeches with high stockings and a yellow vest. Lydia Brant. Gloria, you're wearing men's clothing again. Gloria. No, Mother, I'm wearing clothes women are forbidden to wear. Father gives Gloria a stern look. Stefan rolls his eyes but says nothing. Suddenly, Nathan speaks up. Nathan Brent. A few days ago in the market, I saw a grocer dressed as Overseer Gaius Tempest. He had a huge carrot for his scepter. He got a sound drubbing, of course, but until then it was quite a hoot. Everybody laughs at the ridiculous story, relieved. Even Gloria has a smile on her face when she sits down. The feast commences. Your home finally feels warm for a moment. Lydia Brant. It wasn't so long ago the four of you could never reach up to this table. The first word you said, Gloria, was gimme. Nathan used to cling to my skirt all the time, almost tearing it. And you, Davvon Jr., you couldn't talk at all yet, but your piercing stare was so expressive, it felt as if you were talking to me. Father looks at Stefan and suddenly grows quiet. Lydia Brant. When I met Stefan, he was already 3 years old. He was so serious and a smooth talker to boot. I remember that he had a music teacher, but too shy to play in front of me, so I used to listen from the next room. Stefan's face twitches. Your elder brother rises and moves to the old harpsichord. His fingers fly gracefully over the keys. A melody fills the house. Melancholy and sweet. Fills the house, that is. The last note lingers in the air, then silence falls. The family is awestruck. Words fail you all. Gloria. Who wrote that? A nobleman for the capital drinking a glass of wine and beating a servant? Your sister's cutting remark puts an end to the warm, cozy atmosphere. Stefan calmly turns to face her. Stefan Brant. No, it was I who composed this piece of music. It is called Mother. Mother rises to her feet. She would have needed help to do this just recently, but now she treads unassisted towards Stefan and draws him close. Stefan puts his arms around his stepmother's waist, then detaches himself awkwardly. Stefan Brant. May the twin gods bless you, Lydia. Gloria considers this scene with thinly veiled fury in her eyes. Gloria. Horse hybrid nobles like Stefan made for the arts. You're the only ones lucky enough to have a soul and experience inspiration. Unlike us, the low-born. We aren't supposed to feel anything but suffering, let alone express it in poetry. Everyone notices that Gloria is clutching pages, filled with writing. Her poems. Your sister casts a mournful glance at the family and her eyes rest on you. I'm gonna let Gloria read her poems, or appeal to Mother, or interrupt Gloria. I'm gonna appeal to Mother. I'm gonna let Mother be the one to take the shot. You walk up to Mother, take her hand in yours, and whisper in her ear. It is time for her to interfere and save the family celebration. Mother nods understandingly. Lydia Brant. Gloria, my dear child, since you were little, I taught you to care for your soul. But if I fail to convince you, please think about the family that took us in. I implore you, do not take on noble activities. Do not infringe upon the divine order. Gloria's face flushes red with fury. She clasps the pages to her chest. Gloria. That's right, Mother. Since I was little. You think I'm not reminded of it with every breath I take? Of all the things I'm forbidden to do because I'm lowborn? Lydia Brant. My dear girl, listen to me. There's more to life than you and your aspirations. You are a member of the Brant family, and our family is part of a greater universe. Your actions affect all of us. We are not isolated. We're being watched by the city, by the empire, and by the twin gods themselves. Gloria. So I'm not allowed to bear your name, but I still have to bear all the responsibilities that come with it. What hypocrisy. Gloria runs out of the room, outraged and tearful. Family is left dumbfounded. Finally, Stefan speaks. Stefan Brant. I hope, Lydia, that you can still make her see reason. Your words were wise. Let us heed them ourselves. The celebration continues despite Gloria's absence. Hey, +1 unity. Woohoo! Gloria hates us. Manipulation, +1. We're only naive. Flippy page. A rendezvous with Octavia. This event is a consequence of your previous actions. Ooh. We'll do it. A rendezvous with Octavia. Octavia and you do not see each other very often. Sometimes as the days wear on, you forget about your unusual liaison. But then the Archduke's daughter bursts into your life and you abandon yourself to passion until she disappears again. Today is Octavia is waiting for you at her summer home in the city. It is a cozy little villa, well concealed from prying eyes by a high fence. Beyond the fence is a glorious garden. You have never seen one so beautiful in Magra. Octavia meets you on the veranda. She is wearing a light white frock that leaves her shoulders exposed. Her black hair cascades down her back. You bow to Lady Melanides. She grins and draws you toward her so that you sit down by her side. The sun is melting beyond the horizon. Octavia commands her servants to leave you alone. Tonight she is strangely pensive, barely touching her food and drink. You cautiously inquire if anything is amiss. Octavia Melanides. Listen to me, Davvon Jr. I'm at a crossroads. My father, the Archduke, is planning to send me out of Magra for a while. Apparently, in his opinion, my escapades are bound to cause trouble for our family. Octavia stands up, towering above you. Her eyes burn with a menacing flame. Octavia Melanides. I'm a daughter of the great family of Melanides, an Archnean, born at the peak of the world. All shall tremble before me. Isn't that so, Davvon Jr. Brent? But before you can reply, Octavia abruptly lowers her head, downhearted. Octavia Melanides. I am not free, just like you, my dear human Brent. I have a duty to my family, to my blood tide, to the Empire, my whole life. All I've ever done is fulfill obligations created by others. I have no aspirations, everything is preordained. What the world is, how I ought to live, what my father doesn't decide for me, those two up on the peak of the shining pillar already have. I'm looking for a way out of this cage. It must exist. I study history, but all I find are tidbits of lost knowledge. But I believe that I'm not the very first to try to escape the chains of this world. What am I to do, Davvon Jr.? You yearn to break free of the fetters of fate just as I do. You have escaped the commoner's lot and joined the higher estate. Your new lot is just as much of a prison, isn't it? Could it really be that none of us will ever be free? Octavia looks in your eyes, dolefully. You have never seen her look so helpless before. I am going to inquire about this arcane knowledge because last time I didn't do that, I regretted it. It didn't give me the points and places that I wanted. Ba-da-da-dum. You carefully inquire about the lost knowledge Octavia was speaking of. What is she trying to find in these ancient manuscripts? Octavia responds with a playful smile. She takes your hand and leads you into her chambers. There, under the flickering candlelight, she covers you with a semi-transparent, gold-covered veil. Then she puts a mysterious mask of the same color over your face. Octavia Melanides. Don't speak. You'll understand. Octavia entwines her fingers with yours and starts singing. You have never heard this language before. The song is a slow, inhuman drawl. At first, nothing happens. You listen to Octavia's song, watching the glimmer of the candlelight on her face and the walls of her chamber. Everything is gently shifting. Octavia Melanides. When she cometh near, fear not, but hasten not toward her. Octavia's lips are not moving. The words seem to take shape inside your head by themselves. The skin of your lips has taken on a different hue. Now it is blue, like that of the Archneans. Who is sitting opposite you? Octavia? Yourself? You cannot tell anymore. Everything has become one. The world fades away and shatters. Your bodies, the walls, the rooms, the buildings, the city. Everything grows pale and dissolves into the light. All of it, the lots, the empires, the twin gods themselves, is but a dream. And you have wandered through this dream all your life. You come to your senses in the dead of night in Lady Melanides' bed. She is lying beside you, asleep, naked. Her black hair spilled across the pillow. You run your trembling fingers over her skin. Octavia is sleeping soundly. +1 with Octavia. Theology +2. Willpower +5. Uh-oh. Year 1142. Peacetime. 24 years of age. And on that note... Wait. Yep. On that note, we're going to end it right there. As always, I appreciate all of you guys taking the time to come through, listen through, watch the videos. I appreciate y'all. Love y'all. Catch you guys in the next one. I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day. Peace. get some music for this?
Nope.
How long did I go?
You said 30 seconds.
How long have I been going?
10.
Am I doing it right?
I have no idea. I'm not even
Is this
watching.
31?
No comment.